Don Rarick and Chris Carlins from Rain Engineering. Today we were talking about Proficy Smart Factory.
So like people are looking for MESs,
Yeah,
and they come across Proficy. What is Proficy? What is Velotic?
yeah. Before we talk about what is Proficy, I want to talk a little bit about Velotic, because Velotic has acquired a group of different softwares to become a purpose-built company that of industrial software, and they say to build brighter. And inside of Velotic's software acquisitions and is Proficy, and Proficy's been around for 25 years. It was acquired by GE from a company called Mountain Systems in around 2005, and ever since then it's been in some part of the GE family. It was carved out by private equity, and a new company was formed called Velotic. So Proficy, having been around for 25 years, is a brand, and that brand contains a bunch of different products, I think 6 or 7 products. And one is Proficy HMI SCADA, and that itself includes a couple of products, iFix and Simplicity. And Chris, of course, you're an authority, longtime authority on MES in general, but Proficy Smart Factory especially. What is Proficy Smart Factory?
And a Smart Factory is really the opportunity for the commercial side to sync up and say, we need a certain set of functionality to build out an MES. And of course, Proficy Plant Applications is at the core of that. And the neat thing about Plant Applications, not every MES has this, but the ability to acquire all the information in a black box flight recorder with a historian to make sure you're not losing any of those bits, but you're getting that one version of the truth. And then Plant Applications can pull all that automated data goodness from it. And then to have the interfaces on the machine side is one thing. The other side is to have the interfaces for the operators, for supervisors, getting purpose-built reports so that people get the information that they need when they need it, and that's where Operations Hub comes in. So it really is the three of those, historian up to Plant Applications, and then visualization layer through Operations Hub that make Smart Factory a complete package.
There is Proficy Scheduler, which is a new acquisition of a longtime partner called Robex, but it's a finite capacity scheduling tool. Proficy CSense, which is a analytics software and kind of their leading edge in terms of AI and predictive analytics, multivariate analytics. Operations Hub, Proficy Operations Hub is a visualization platform. And I think, last but not least, Proficy Plant Applications, which is now bundled with Historian and Operations Hub and is called Proficy Smart Factory. And really, Proficy Smart Factory is what we're here to talk about today.
The fact that it grew out of things like the paper industry, where you have all different types of processes. On the traditional side of Plant Applications, you have batching of materials, then you have continuous streams of material being extruded or poured out. You got to bake or process that material, let it sit and let the chemicals go as it's on the conveyor belt, and then you have to find a way of tracking the high-speed production process of it as well, bottles being filled. So it has always had those three components in there.
And Velotic says Proficy helps industrial teams see, understand, and optimize their operations. And that includes all the pieces of the suite. But since the product was developed, it's contained kind of 4 modules. And it's probably worth mentioning those things because there's a lot of people asking, well, I'm looking at MES X, brand X, and brand Y, and brand Proficy, and I can't compare them apples to apples because they contain different things. Proficy Smart Factory is a quality module, a QMS, a quality management system. It is a efficiency management system. It is a production management system. It allows you to do those things. including, OEE, which gets talked about a lot in the industry, detailed quality management, and of course, track and trace or genealogy in the production management module.
Execution layer too, right? To understand what your daily schedule is going to be and
Mm-hmm.
to knock it out. And that would be the traditional process side that's been very mature in plant
Yeah.
applications for a long time. There's also the discrete component now too for manual operations, routing, assembly, and things like that. So when they included that one recently, and it does have that nice modern look, and it's been really well polished, it's ready to roll. And to me, having that in there really rounds off all of the main things that you'll want in an MES.
And again, you don't have to worry about coupling or integrating those things to one another because it was built from the beginning that way and engineered to keep track of how many did I make, how fast did I make them, who made them, what materials were made or used to make them, and how well did we make them?
That's true. At the core of it, you have machines, and those machines have production on them. So every one of those modules that we just talked about, or ways of production, are ways of making sure that the information coming in is being normalized and putting into that structured database, right? But at the end of the day, you want to know how much was made on that machine, and that's where that really at the center of that Venn diagram, no matter if it's continuous process, high-speed discrete, or manual assembly, is all going into that same plant model. And you can have reports that talk about how much production you've had across the board. So it's letting each one be its own thing. But then at the end of the day, having the reports that you need to see how you're doing that day. Yeah. Imagine being at an automotive plant where you're trying to make all of these gears and components at high speed, and then you also have in that same exact plant manual operations of routings and assemblies, and every one of those finished products is different than the one before it, right? So being able to handle all of that under one install is pretty incredible.
Yeah, actually, one of my favorite things that you say, I hear you say it to customers a lot, is that an MES is a way to get all your manufacturing data into a structured data set.
Yep.
And the questions you ask are the context. Like a lot of times the vendors will talk about MES is contextualized data, MES is contextualized data. MES is not contextualized data, MES is structured data. And when you ask a question of it with the reporting tool, you now have context. This is the context I want that data in. And so the question you ask provides the context, right? And that is, the question you ask is the set of reports that you have.
Yeah.
And it's, maybe it's a distinction without a difference, but I really like it. And it seems to help customers turn the light on, understand what's happening.
Yeah. For me to make that distinction is not to just be controversial, although I'm known as causing trouble once in a while. But when it came to the idea that it's really about getting all of your information, whether it's any one of those processes, which is why this is a great time to talk about it. You want to get it into a structured database. You want it all to, if I have downtime on any one of these processes, I want to know about the same way. If I have production, I want to have a set of tables that's for, right? And I said, well, this is a structured database. And it's put into context when you ask a question, like you said, and then you get an answer from it. And I thought, any report that you have, any dashboard you have, any purpose-built thing or out-of-the-box thing you have, the reason why those exist is to answer at least one question. And maybe a really good interface answers a couple questions, but if it starts answering too many questions, then it's like, okay, maybe you need to break these down so that you have a different interface for what the operator needs to know versus what the person in the front office needs to know, or an inside salesperson, right? So it's about building purpose-built things that answer the questions that they need to see. And like you said, that's when you have context. I need to know what my worst running machine is. Well, that's the report you get from the structured data that you've already acquired, and that's why I make that distinction.
MES solutions improve traceability, quality control, throughput by connecting equipment, operators, and enterprise systems in real time, right? So there's the connection and aggregation of data. There is the question you ask and the reports that you have. And all that describes very well how this could be useful, how the platform could be useful to a plant manager or to a plant trying to make improvements to their world. There's a operations hub component, which is a quick time to value visualization platform.
The historian is acquiring the flood of information that's always coming in, sometimes in milliseconds, or we have to trigger exactly when it is for a microstop. The historian is a rock solid way of doing it. The plan applications we just talked about, mostly from an efficiency perspective, you bring all that information up of your structured database of the MES into the operations hub layer, because any vendor is only going to be able to get you so far out of the box. They're going to have pre-built reports and dashboards and things that are going to be like the 80-20 rule, right? You're going to use these in this way. But then Operation Hub gives you the ability to build purpose-built reporting, things that are still out of the box. They're using the REST API calls in the background so that they're always supported. You're going to get visualizations on your screen. If you're used to a SCADA, maybe it's a good analogy there, because you're able to move things around and have an OEE metric on there right along with your exception report of your alarms, because that's what the operator needs to see. And then you need maybe some higher level production reports for your scheduling team, right? And so you can have that flexibility with Operations Hub, mixing the pre-built widgets along with purpose-built widgets and other things that you have available. And that's where Operations Hub becomes really available, is putting the data into context and answering questions.
Yeah, and just our audience comes from all different kinds of background and experience. And I just want to say there's a lot of chatter in the world now about APIs. And just to simplify what an API is, to break it down, is that an API is a programmatic way to put data into and get data out of a system in the way that the software intended for it, the software designers intended. So you don't have to get into all the details of what an API actually is, but the benefit of an API is that when data is coming from a human through an operator interface or through another system, you're getting something from your ERP or you're getting something from your CMMS, the data is received and processed through the software the way it was intended.
Yeah, it unlocks it. It unlocks the data, and it unlocks the ability for you to interact with that system in ways that are more than just the WYSIWYG, right? What you see is what you get is normally it. And then other than that, you would normally have to crack open the application and either hack right into the database or find some other way to do it. And what REST API calls do is give you a standard way of doing it that's supported. And if you call up with a bug because you called one of these functions and it gave you the wrong data, that's something that the vendor can support, reproduce, and then fix in a patch.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say about that is a well-documented API makes it easy for a technical person, like a reliability engineer who's looking for a specific piece of data, to ask for that data and receive that data rather than having to go look in the database to where the pieces of the data might be stored. And instead of becoming an all-day thing, it becomes I can go find this data quickly.
You know what? It allows more people to get at the information quicker and on their own. And on that note, I'll mention that another component is GraphQL, which really takes that idea of the REST API calls and the previous software development kit functions that were available. And rather than somebody needing to know the database and joining 5 or 10 tables together to get their downtime report or even genealogy, you can send in one function to GraphQL, one call, and this is anybody with the interface, and get like megabytes of data back about whatever it is that you're looking at. Using a little bit of hyperbole, but it's pretty cool with one function call how much data you can get back now with GraphQL.
Yeah, and GraphQL is out there. It's a software that's out there that's built to help interface, and it's one that
it's a well accepted protocol, and it's great that the Velotic team jumped on that and made it a part of the Proficy offering as well. So we do have some videos and things like that as well on our learning site. So things to provide you.
Yeah, if you found yourself here today listening to us talk about Proficy and you're wondering, well, what the heck is MES anyway? We do have a class in our learning management system called Manufacturing Know-How that is inside the MES, and it's actually a class taught by Chris that explains to people who may not have a technical background or may not really understand what an MES is, but knows they need help getting data and they've heard MES can help, or getting information from their production system. And And so Chris designed and executed this class. If you message us here, and we'll sign you up at no charge to watch what is an MES, or designing for. I'm sorry, what is the title of it?
I think it's designing an MES. And there's also another one about designing efficiency. And
Yeah.
you helped me to get out of the technology and say, let's just have an abstract class where it's just talking about the general principles of it and the theory behind it. And so that's what I set out to do. It's not anything to do specifically with Proficy. Just get someone on the on-ramp there.
Yeah, exactly. And it serves a great purpose in building teams. If a customer knows they need to embark on a digital transformation of some kind, and MES is a part of that digital transformation, it helps them have a place to send people who they need to be an important part of their team to understand what does MES really accomplish for us. And so it's great thing. Make sure if you like this content, you subscribe to our channel. We welcome comments. If there's other things you want to hear about or something we missed in this broadcast, leave a comment